In collaboration with the European Union, Canada launches its National Social Credit Score today.
Bunch of clowns.
Oh.
You posted something flagged last month.
Several arrested today for violating Canada's Online Harms Act. Chair, authorities say the tweets were unacceptable.
Thank God we're no longer part of that.
Breaking, RCMP continue firearm confiscation raids across Ontario and Quebec.
That's why we're not part of Canada anymore.
You know, as much as that clip we just watched is obviously AI, and the statements made seem a little exaggerated and over the top, the fact of the matter is that all of these events are possible in Canada at the rate this country's going. Hell, some of them are actually happening as we speak. Take the Liberal Online Harms Act as an example, which is basically the Canadian government's latest attempt to police speech under the guise of protecting people from so-called harm, giving government bureaucrats and corrupt politicians the power to control what you can and cannot say online. And then you have Canada's gun confiscation effort, what they call the buyback program, where they're banning legally owned firearms, most of which were never involved in any crimes, and then they say they're going to buy them back with our own taxpayers' money. And it's not like you can opt out of the program and say no thanks. It's not optional. They're simply taking your weapons. They're disarming law-abiding citizens while doing nothing to reduce actual crime. No wonder Alberta wants to separate from this mess.
Central Canada actually expects us to just keep taking and taking it.
That's absolutely right. I mean, I don't understand how they think that they can continue to abuse us and we're going to do nothing about it.
Yes.
You know, they think we're upset because we lost one election in, this year. And there's so much more to it than that. This goes back several decades. That election is kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back for many people. Some of us, we were fed up previous to that, but for many people that opened their eyes to the fact that we've been, abused by Central Canada and by the federal government for several decades, and we've been trying to make changes, as I mentioned, and those changes would never be implemented because it means Central Canada losing power. And so people have been very upset, with Central Canada and the federal government since at least the time of Pierre Trudeau. That's when things really started moving. It hasn't been consistent support for separatism since that time. It's come up and down since that time, but Pierre Trudeau created it, and his policies, especially the National Energy Program, gave it credibility, because it was because of the National Energy Program that that the support for independence in Alberta went from being just a single-digit support to double-digit support since that time.
The notion from some people that Alberta wants to separate just because the Conservatives lost is laughably shallow. The desire for independence isn't some knee-jerk tantrum. It's the boiling point of decades of being ignored, milked for resources, and treated like the unwanted cousins in Confederation. From the National Energy Program in the 80s to today's carbon taxes and pipeline blockades, Ottawa has made it crystal clear. To them, Alberta's only good for cash, nothing more. The latest election was just a final slap in the face, a reminder that the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, just not for Albertans. Reform from within? Been there, try that, got nowhere. Now, if you've made it this far and you're enjoying the report, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. It's free and it helps me continue bringing you these videos. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now back to the video.
There's a legal way to do this. We don't have to take up arms. We can do it legally. And know that fundamentally who we are and the value of our worth, not just as individuals, but as a province and our resources. So if we work together, as we work as individuals as well, we have the opportunity to methodically help others. I see a third. The third that will never change their mind. They want their government checks. There's that third, but then there's us third, and we're already in the bag or the can, like we're voting. It's that middle third we need to focus on. Don't shout at them. Don't tell them they're stupid. Listen to them. Be patient. Don't try and convince them in the first discussion. Take your time. Help them discover things on their own. Pascal said, people are far more persuaded by ideas that come to them on their own than ideas put to them by others. Ask questions. So what would happen if we could sell the $1 trillion worth of oil and gas we have? How much dollars is $1 trillion? How many thousands of millions of dollars is that? Help people understand the opportunity that's before them as Albertans. Be respectful, be careful, and I am very optimistic that we can do this.
Most countries in the world don't have a legal mechanism with which a region or portion of their country can pursue their independence from the rest of it. When separation and secession movements happen, in most nations, it has usually been achieved by power and force, where the mother country tries to subjugate and crush the movement, while the secessionists fight to attain their independence. There are, of course, exceptions. A good example is the Czech Republic and Slovakia, which were previously called Czechoslovakia. Their separation was accomplished without any violent conflict. Alberta happens to have one of those exceptional situations, where Canada has a mechanism within its constitution that allows the legal separation of a province from the rest of the country. This does not mean that Canada won't do everything in its power to try to block Alberta's efforts. They already are, but there's definitely a legal way. Now the work begins to educate those who can be convinced about the benefits of Alberta independence. Like Keith said, there's a percentage of the population who simply cannot be convinced. They're going to be against it no matter what. But then there's those in the middle who can be persuaded. That's who we need to speak to.
I think there's some real issues with, I think the Premier said she's giving, Canada another 4 months. And I think it's pretty clear that Carney's not going to be coming through and giving Premier Smith whatever she wants, or anything that she wants. So it'll be interesting to see where we're at 4 months from now in the context of Premier Smith's support for independence. I'm very clear on the fact that she understands that the overwhelming majority of her membership support independence, and that the UCP, regardless of her position, saying that, a strong Alberta within Canada, is her position. It's not the position of the majority of her membership. And, that's something that she's going to have to be concerned about on a going forward basis.
And do you see the recent by-election results in Olds, Didsbury, Three Hills as an early indicator as to how a referendum might go?
Absolutely not. I don't see any connection at all, actually. No. I know all the people involved, but they're not APP. And, their goal was to form another political party. Our goal is to educate people and get people thinking about an independent Alberta.
At this point in time, prior to when we even know what the referendum question is, let alone when we've had a referendum, I'm just not sure there's a lot of appetite for a separatist party. I think that what we're looking at right now is whether people believe that the United Conservative Party is the party that represents their conservative interests. And I think that Olds, Didsbury, Three Hills, perhaps the most conservative riding in the province, would say that Alberta Conservatives want to support the UCP.
Well, the Separatist or the Independence Party won. The UCP won. 65% of the membership of UCP is pro-independence. So, I think it was more a testament to, Premier Smith's continued popularity in Alberta, and, the degree to which Cam Davies, was a weak candidate.
Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video and give a shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers, which is actually PJTheBelt. You guys should seriously subscribe to him. He's got some amazing content. Actually, I just got this hat from his merchandise on his YouTube page. PJ, thank you so much. I know you see my stuff. I see your stuff. I comment on it. Thank you for being a strong YouTuber. Very like-minded. He's a proud Albertan. And yeah, look at these hats, guys. These are decent.
All right, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Special thanks to those of you who have donated to this project. It is much appreciated, and it helps me continue making videos. See you on the next one. Peace.